In the last class, we have discussed, okay, we are discussing about the class Reptilia. Okay, the name Reptilia came from the word repta, which means creeping or crawling, because these organisms either creep or crawl on the ground. Okay, and these are bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic, and next coelomate animals, and next their body is covered by either scales or scutes. Okay, and next, okay, if the limbs are present, they are usually four in number. That is, two pairs of limbs are present. Okay, paired limbs and four. Okay, and they are two paired, because there are some organisms which have lost the limbs because of their habitat. Okay, that is what we can see here. So the class name Reptilia refers to their creeping or crawling mode of locomotion. They are mostly terrestrial animals, and their body is covered by dry and cornified skin, which is covered by epidermal scales or scutes. And next, they do not have external ear openings, but a tympanum represents the ear. Limbs, when present, are two pairs. And next, a heart is usually three-chambered. Okay, that is two auricles and one ventricle. But the crocodiles are exceptions, which are having a four-chambered heart. That is two auricles and two ventricles. That is, the ventricle is completely separated. Okay, that means the ventricles are completely separated as a right ventricle and left ventricle. And next, these reptiles are phycloderms, that is, are exodermous organisms. And next, some organisms like snakes and lizards will cast their skin or their scales. Okay, they will shed their scales as a skin cast. Okay, we can observe. Okay, that means the outer scales. Okay, the scales which are covering the body, they are periodically removed. And next, sexes are separate. That means we'll find male and female organism separately. The fertilization is internal. Okay, the fertilization occurs within the body of the female organism. And next, after fertilization, they lay the eggs. That's why they are as oviparous. They are oviparous because they lay eggs. Okay, they lay eggs on the land completely, no exception. All the reptiles will lay the eggs on the land. Terrestrial mode of it, representing the terrestrial mode of the organism or nature of the organism, terrestrial nature of the organism, laying eggs on the land, which are covered by a hard calcareous shell and consists of embryonic membranes. That's why such eggs which are covered by hard calcareous shell and presence of embryonic membranes. That's why these eggs we call it as cladoid eggs. Development takes place within the egg. Okay, development takes place within the calcareous shell. Okay, and it gives birth to young ones. And they give birth to young ones which are similar to that of the adult. They are similar to that of adult, except the size. Okay, except the size. Okay, now. So that is okay. So the development is direct. We don't find any larval form. Okay, directly the young ones will emerges out of the egg after hatching. These young ones will be similar to that of the adult organism except the size. Okay, and this young one grows to become the adult only in the size. All are same. And next, what are the examples of these reptiles? Okay, here when you observe here, turtle, tortoise, terrapin. Okay, there are three different types of these. Okay, this turtle like organisms are there. Turtle, okay, it is a marine water organism. Okay, turtles. The turtles means marine water. Marine water organisms we call it as turtles. Okay, completely terrestrial, we call them as a tortoise. Okay, complete terrestrial organisms, we are calling it as a tortoise. And next, the freshwater organisms, we are calling it as a terrapins. Okay, we'll commonly call it as a tortoise now. Okay, tortoise like organisms which are completely terrestrial, we call them as tortoise. And tortoise like organisms which are marine water organisms, we are calling them as a turtle. And the tortoise like organisms which are marine water, okay, freshwater forms, the freshwater forms are called terrapins. All they belongs to the class Reptilia only, but their habitat is different. Some are marine water, some are freshwater, some are terrestrial. Okay, slight changes will be there between one organism, one species to another species. So here, okay, the scientific name of turtle is a Chilon, and the scientific name of tortoise is a Testudо. Okay, among all these three groups, like turtle, tortoise, and terrapins, tortoise are having the hard shield. Hard shield. The hardest shield is present in tortoise, that is testudo. Next one is turtles, and the next one is the terrapins. Terrapins are having a little bit of soft when compared to other. Okay. And next, chameleon, that is a tree lizard. Okay, chameleon, that is a tree lizard. And next, calotis, garden lizard. And next, crocodilus, that is crocodile. Alligator, that is alligator. And next, hemidactylus, that is a wall lizard. That is commonly we observe in our houses now. Wall lizard. And next, coming to the snakes, there are the snakes are basically divided into two types: poisonous snakes and non-poisonous snakes. Okay, non-poisonous snakes like python. Okay, they do not have poison. They will do not okay, they do not inject poison when they bite. Okay, simply they will crush the body with their muscles. the organism to die, and later after the death of the organism, the prey. But when you observe, there are most of the very few snakes are poisonous to human. Very few snakes are poisonous to human. Among the snakes that we observe, very few are poisonous to human. Okay, they are poisonous to other animals, the small animals. But for the human, very few are there. Okay, when you observe in case of snakes, the poison is secreted by the poisonous glands. Okay, these poisonous glands are nothing but modified salivary glands. Okay, one pair. Okay, totally there are 3 pairs of salivary glands, but one pair of salivary gland is modified into poisonous glands, and they secrete poison. The poison duct will be opened at the tip of the fangs. At the tip, that means when you open when a snake opens its mouth, 2 teeth will be protruding. At the tip of those teeth will find this poisonous duct. Whenever it bites, these fangs will be pierced into the body. At the time the duct is opened and releases the poison or injects the poison into the body of that person. Okay, simple. Okay, how we can identify from a poisonous snake from a non-poisonous snake means you can observe when a snake bites. If you observe one or two piercings, one or two piercings on the body, then we can say that it is a poisonous snake. Okay, if a non-poisonous snake bites, okay, it will give a arch like a a half moon shaped cut by the teeth will be observed. Okay, it indicates that it is a non-poisonous because no fangs. In non-poisonous snakes, we don't find fangs. So that's why all the teeth will be done. Okay, that one, okay, the teeth do not have poison. Only the fangs will have poisonous ducts. So that is how we can able to identify poisonous snake from non-poisonous snake. So some of the poisonous snakes, okay, Naza, that is cobra, Pangarus, that is a krait, and Vipera, that is a viper, Russell's viper. Okay, we commonly we call it as Russella vipera or Vipera russelli. Okay, Vipera russelli. Okay, Vipera is the genus name and Russelli is the species name. Okay. Okay, Bangarus cerulus, okay, which is commonly called as a krait. Okay, krait, that means we'll find a check-like arrangement of the scales on the body. That's why it is called as a krait. Okay, Naza, that is called, can observe a spectacle mark on the hood. A spectacle mark will be observed on the hood. That is what we can identify as Naza. And next, Vipera russelli. Why this russelli? That means when this snake is moving, okay, it will produce a sound. Okay, saw. When the saw is moving over the wood, how the sound will come? Sound like that. Sound will be observed when this snake is moving on the ground. That's why it was named as a Vipera russelli. Okay, so these are some of the poisonous snakes and some of the examples of reptilia. That is, okay, turtles, tortoise, okay, chameleon, wall lizard, garden lizard, okay, crocodiles, alligators, okay, and snakes. All they comes under this reptilia. Okay, and the next one is aves. Anybody is having any doubt regarding reptiles? Okay. Next, coming to the aves, the class aves. That the characteristic feature of aves are the presence of feathers, and most of them can fly except flightless birds. Okay, that means when you observe here, what is the unique characteristic feature of aves is presence of feathers on their body. Okay, presence of feathers. That means the feathers. Okay, like what we observe. Okay, in case of reptiles, we'll find covering the body. Okay, in that. Okay, but in aves, okay, the body is covered by. Okay, the feathers. Okay, and next, and when you observe this aves, most of them fly. Okay, except a few which are flightless birds like ostrich, emu, cassowary, kiwi. Okay, a few exceptions are there. The domestic for okay, they're not domestic. Okay, the farming fowl, the poultry farms, the birds. Okay, the farm. Okay, the fowls which are grown in the poultry, they are modified. But the jungle fowls, the our wild fowls are flying. They usually live on trees. The jungle fowls, but the domestic fowls will not fly. They are because they have been for a very long period. They have started domesticated. So okay, slowly they lost their flightness. But the jungle fowls will fly. So a few exceptions. Okay, a few birds are flightless. The best example is ostrich. You can see. And next, they possess a beak. Okay, we don't find teeth. That is one thing you have to remember in the birds. We don't find the teeth. The jaws are modified to form the beak. Okay, beak is nothing but a modified jaws. Okay, the jaw modified to form the beak. Okay, okay, and they do not possess a teeth. That's why no bird will chew. Simply whatever the food they take, they simply swallow. Okay, inside a structure called a gizzard will be there, and that gizzard will work like a grinder and grinds the food material that is taken inside the body. Okay, and next, okay, they possess a beak. Okay, beak is nothing but a modified, and next the forelimbs are modified into wings. Okay, the forelimbs are modified into wings, and the hind, okay, and the hind limbs are modified into walking legs. Okay, walking legs. Okay, the forelimbs are modified, and the hind limbs generally have scales and are modified for walking, swimming. In some aquatic birds, they help in swimming because they develop a web-like structure in between the fingers. Okay, are clasping the tree branches because most of the birds will live on trees. Okay, okay, they have got a interlocking mechanism. Generally, okay, if you are sleeping on a tree, on a branch of it, okay, you climbed a tree and you are sleeping on a tree. While you are sleeping, sometimes you may lose the balance and you may fall. But birds will never fall from the tree while they are sleeping. Why? Because they are having a certain interlocking mechanism. That means, that means once they are locked with the branch, it will not be removed till it whenever it wants to remove. So it will hold, even by holding the branch, it can able to sleep. Okay, at that time it will not fall down because it will having that lock system. Okay, so that is, so the hind limbs are modified for walking, swimming, or clasping the tree branches. Okay, and next, the skin is dry without glands except the oil gland at the base of the tail. Okay, this oil gland is a, this oil gland will secrete a certain oil which is used to clean the feathers. Okay, you can see when you add, okay, when you place a feather in the okay, in the water, okay, the water will to the feathers. Why? Because the presence of this oily coating over the feathers which keep it dry, which keep it dry. So how this oil is obtained means, this oil is obtained from the oil gland which is present at the base of the tail. With that oil, okay, it will cleans the feathers and keeps the feathers dry and prevent it from wetting. And next, the endoskeleton is fully ossified, that is the bony, and the long bones are hollow with air cavities. Okay, when you observe the long bones in case of flight birds, okay, especially in flight birds, the long bones are hollow. The long bones are hollow, that is the pneumatic bones. Okay, such bones we call it as a pneumatic bones. Why? Because to make the body lighter, which helps in flight. That's why, okay, they possess this pneumatic bones. So endoskeleton is fully ossified and the long bones are hollow with air cavities. There is a such, okay, as they possess air cavities, the long bones, the bones are described as pneumatic bones. And next, the digestive tract of birds has additional chambers. There is the crop and the gizzard. Already I told you. Okay, they do not have teeth, so they do not chew. Whatever the food that is intaken, that one will be stored in the crop, and some okay, some amount of food will be passed on to the gizzard, where it is grinded. Because the gizzard is a highly muscular and hard with the chitinous plates, and which helps in grinding the food material. Okay, the crop is meant for a storage, temporary storage of food material. So, okay, this crop and gizzard are the additional chambers that are present in the organisms of chordates. Chordates, we don't find any other organisms with this crop and gizzard. And next, the circulatory system. When it comes to circulatory system, the heart is a completely four-chambered. Okay, the heart is completely four-chambered. That means we'll find two auricles and two ventricles. And next, they are warm-blooded animals, homeoderms. These are the first warm-blooded animals. That means these are the organisms which maintain their body temperature constant, irrespective of their body temperature. So that's why when the conditions are not favorable in that area, they migrate to the places where they'll find certain favorable conditions. the birds. Okay, so we'll observe the migration. Okay, so that is they are warm-blooded animals, that is they are able to maintain a constant body temperature. And next, respiration is by lungs. Pulmonary respiration through lungs, we call it as pulmonary respiration. Okay, and next, air sacs connected to lungs supplement respiration. Okay, that means external air sacs, that means some air sacs which will be extended throughout, okay, throughout the body. The air sacs are present, okay, which will helps in keeping the body lighter in weight, and also helps in respiration during flight. Okay, these air sacs which are connected to the lung. And next, the sexes are separate, that means we'll find male bird and female birds. Okay, and fertilization is internal. Okay, the fertilization takes place within the body of the female organism or female bird, and they are oviparous, they lay eggs. Okay, they lay eggs. Okay, the eggs are also here, also the cladoic eggs with a large amount of yolk. Okay, there is a macrolecital. Macrolecital. Macro means more, lecitha means yolk. Okay, a large amount of yolk will be present inside the egg. That's why we are using the eggs of the birds to eat, because they are rich in food material. Okay, they are oviparous, and the development is diet. So when the eggs are hatched, will give, okay, it will give rise to chicks. The young ones we call them as chicks, and these chicks will be similar to that of adult except the size. Okay. Okay, some of the examples of these aves are carvus. Carvus splendens, that is the Indian crow. Okay, and next columba, that is a pigeon, commonly called as pigeon. And next Psittacula, commonly called as a parrot. The scientific name of parrot, that is Psittacula. The scientific name of pigeon, that is columba. The scientific name of crow, that is carvus. Okay, splendens, that is the, okay, the Indian crow. There are different. And next strutio, that is ostrich. And next pavo, that is commonly called as a peacock, which is our national bird. Okay, which we can observe commonly in our places. And next, eptenodytes, that is penguin. Penguin is also a bird. Remember, penguin is a bird. And next, a neophron, that is commonly called as vulture. Okay, that is, these are the some of the examples of okay, we can see here the carvus. Okay, there is a carvus, a columba, and a Psittacula. And next, neophron are flight birds. Whereas strutio and pavo, sorry, strutio and okay, epinodytes is flightless birds. Okay, pavo is a flight bird only. It flies. Okay, that is about this aves. Anybody is having any doubt regarding aves? Once all of you listen here, ma. Okay. this week, the portion for the next week examination. Okay, for MCQs. Okay, the syllabus is gymnosperms, angiosperms, and life cycles and alternation of generation. Okay, these three topics will be for a MCQ test. And next, for the descriptive test, it will be a full chapter test. Okay, it will be 40 marks. Okay, it will be for a 40 marks. Understood? Anybody is having any doubt? So for MCQs, gymnosperms, angiosperms, and next life cycles and alternation of generation for MCQs. That will be in the morning next Thursday, and in the evening you will be having a descriptive test for 40 marks on chapter, full chapter. Okay, that is on Thursday evening. Okay, it will be, I think it is at 6 o'clock. Okay. Anybody is having any doubt? Are you clear?
Sir, for descriptive test, which chapter, sir?
Plant kingdom, full chapter. Plant kingdom, full chapter. Okay, we have completed only up to gymnosperms now. With the addition of angiosperms and life cycles and alternate generation, the total full chapter will be done. And okay, up to algae also we have not done the descriptive test. Only okay, this bryophytes, pteridophytes, and gymnosperms only we have done the descriptive. So this week we'll go with the full chapter. Okay, all. Okay, that is okay, types of classification: algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms, angiosperms, life cycles, and alternation of generation for a descriptive test in the evening. But in the morning it will be part, because we have already done algae and types of classification. MCQs have done, and the gymnosperms only. But in the last only some part of the gymnosperms only given. Okay, we have not gone with the most part, so I have added also again for MCQs. Okay, so gymnosperms, angiosperms, and okay, life cycles and alternation of generation for MCQs, and a full chapter plant kingdom for a descriptive test. It will be 40 marks, not 30 mark. It will be for 40 mark this time. Okay. And next okay, next coming to the class Mammalia. Okay, they are found in a variety of habitats. Okay, the mammals. Okay, the animals that were included under the under the class Mammalia were distributed throughout the world. Okay, they are present in different habitats. Okay, like polar ice caps. Okay, we'll find polar bears. Okay, we'll find okay, Arctic foxes. Okay, wolves, Arctic wolves. Okay, and next we'll find whales. Okay, like that. So polar ice caps, and we'll find some animals living in the deserts like camel. Okay, and some will grow in the mountains, mountain deer, mountain fox. Okay, like this. And okay, and in the forest grasslands. Okay, commonly we can observe in the forest and grasslands, and the dark caves. Okay, we'll find like flying foxes. The flying foxes, so they're commonly called as the flying foxes. That is bats. Okay, bats. Okay, dark caves. Okay, that is so. These are all okay. That means they are able to live in different environmental conditions, and some of them have adapted to fly. Okay, some of them are adapted to fly. For example, we can see the bats. Okay, the skin is extended between the forelimbs and helps in which we call it as a patagium, and that one will helps in flying. Okay, and some live in water, dolphins, whales. Okay, okay, like this, there are some organisms which are living in water. And next, the most unique mammalian characteristic is the presence of milk producing glands, that is a mammary gland by which the young ones are nourished. Okay, the very important character feature of a mammalia. Okay, the word mammalia is given because of the presence of this, okay, this specialized mammary glands, okay, which are involved in the production of milk, through which they will nourish their young ones. So this is the unique characteristic feature of mammalia. Okay, and next, they have two pairs of limbs. Okay, they possess two pairs of limbs, one pair of forelimb and one pair of hind limbs. Okay, adapted for walking, running, climbing, burrowing, swimming, or flying. So whatever they will do. Okay, for example, we can see in case of whales and dolphins, these limbs are modified as paddles. Okay, to help in swimming. Okay, in bat, the forelimb, okay, the skin is extended over the four limbs. Okay, and this is okay, this extended skin we are calling it as patagium, which helps in flying. Burrowing, okay, we can see, okay, we can see the hedgehogs. Okay, and next the mongoose. Okay, and next some foxes, they burrow and live inside. And some will helps in climbing, like monkeys, orangutans. Okay, pandas. Okay, these are all helps in climb. And next, walking and running. Okay? We can see cats. In cats, they help in running to capture the prey. Okay, and next, in case of human, it helps in walking. Okay, that is. And next, okay, the skin of mammals is unique in possessing hair. Okay, that is when you observe the reptiles, in reptiles, the body is covered by scales or scutes. The skin is covered by scales or scutes. And in case of birds, okay, the skin is covered by feathers. Okay, but in mammals, it is covered by short hair-like structures. Okay, hairs. Okay, short hair. Okay, structures called hair. So unique. Okay, unique in, okay, which is observed only in mammals. And next, external ears or pinna are present. External ears or pinna are present. Okay, the external ear which is overhanging, no, that structure we call it as a pinna. And next, different types of teeth are present in the jaw. Incisors, canines, premolars, molars. Okay, different types. Okay, they are helping different means. Incisors for cutting. And next, okay, and next canines for sizzle or for piercing. It acts as a sizzle and helps in piercing. And next, premolars and molars are flat and they help in grinding the food material. Okay, in herbivorous animals, the incisors are well developed, and in case of carnivorous animals, the canines are well developed. Okay, because of their feeding habits, we can see. So we'll find different types of teeth. Okay, and you can see in elephant. In elephant, we'll find the tusk. No, the tusk is nothing but the extended incisors. The incisors are extended to form the tusk-like structure. Okay, the incisors of the upper jaw are extended to form this tusk. So like this, okay, whatever it, okay, they are differently modified. And in herbivorous animals, in some organisms, okay, possess canine teeth. In course of evolution, they lost because of their feeding habits. Okay, that is, so we'll find different types of teeth. And next, the heart is a four-chambered. The heart is a four-chambered. That means we'll find the two auricles and two ventricles which are completely separated. And next, they are homeothermous. That means they are warm-blooded animals and they maintain their body temperature constant. Okay, they maintain their body temperature constant. And next, respiration is by lungs. That is pulmonary respiration. Even they are aquatic. Even they are aquatic. They respire through lungs only. Example, dolphin and whales. These are mammals, but okay, they live in water, but still they undergo pulmonary respiration. That's why the whales and the dolphins regularly comes to the surface water to intake oxygen from the air because they respire through lungs. Okay, and next, that means we'll find a male organism and female organism, and fertilization is internal. Okay, the fertilization takes place within the body of the female organism. And next, they are viviparous. That means they give birth to young ones. Okay, they are viviparous with a few exceptions, and the development is direct. Okay, few exceptions are there. There are some, okay, egg-laying mammals. Okay, like Orictorhynchus. Orictorhynchus, that is a duck. Okay, duck-billed platypus. Okay, duck-billed platypus. Okay, we can see oviparous, that is the Ornithorhynchus. Okay, which is commonly called as a platypus or a duck-billed platypus because the bill or the beak in these organisms looks like a duck. That's why we call it as a duck-billed platypus. Ornithorhynchus. Okay, some examples are there. Okay, and next, and most of them are viviparous. That is, they give birth to young ones. Okay, like a Macropus, that is kangaroo. Okay, it will give birth to immature young one, but the young one will be placed inside the pouch where the mammary glands are placed, and they feed their young ones with that mammary glands that are present inside the pouch. So Macropus, that is kangaroo, and Pterophus, that is flying fox, that is commonly called as bat. Okay, and next Camillus, that is camel, and next Macaca, that is a monkey. Ratus, that is rat. Canis, that is dog. Felis, that is cat. And next Elephas, that is elephant, and Equus, that is horse. Delphinus, that is commonly called as a dolphin. And next Balanoptera, that is a blue whale. Panthera tigris, that is a tiger. Panthera leo, that is commonly called as a lion. and you can also include human also, sapiens. Okay, that is, these are the some of the examples of this phylum Mammalia. Okay, sorry, class Mammalia. Okay, that is so. That means most of them are vivipar. That means they give birth to young ones and they feed their young ones with milk. So, in case of Mammalia, we'll find high rate of parental care. Okay, till the young ones are able to obtain their own food, are able to procure their own food. Okay, the mother will look after and they feed their young ones. Even though when you observe the ornithorhynchus, which is oviparous, which will lay eggs, but they feed their young ones with milk. The parental care will be there and they feed their young ones with milk. So, okay, when you observe here, when you observe this class Mammalia, this class Mammalia is again subdivided into prototherians, metatherians, and eutherians. Okay, prototherians means the egg-laying mammals. Okay, prototherians includes egg-laying mammals, and metatherians means non-placental mammals. They do not have placenta. For example, kangaroo. Okay, kangaroo. Okay, in kangaroo, what happens? They will give birth to immature young ones. The young one will be very small in size. And this young one, after giving birth, they are placed inside the pouch. And the further development into young one will take place within the pouch. Okay, they do not have placenta. Because of that, only they are born immature. Because the mother is unable to provide nourishment to that because of the absence of placenta for a longer period of time. So when it is at the very early days of embryonic development, they give birth to that little ones, and that ones are placed inside the pouch where this teats are disease causing organisms, sorry, where these teats are, okay, where these teats are present, and they feed their young ones with milk and develop the organism. And the next one is eutherians. Eu means true. These are the true mammals. They possess placenta and they feed, okay, and they are, okay, through placenta, they provide the nourishment to the developing young one or developing embryo inside the mother. That's why they directly give birth to young ones. After the young ones are formed, okay, they are fed with milk period of time. Okay, that is what we can observe with reference to this mammalia. Okay, anybody is having any doubt regarding mammalia? Okay, okay, here one chart is given by comparing the different phyla. Already whatever we have discussed up to now, that is given in the form of it. Once you go through this, okay, you can easily understand. the different characteristic features and their comparison with the organisms. We can see some of the distinctive features that were given. Okay, when you observe the porifera in porifera, okay, that's why the name given as a porifera. That means because the body is having a large number of pores called as ostia. Okay, body with the pores and canals in walls, which will open into transport canal system, which will opens outside through an opening called osculum. So ostia and this spongiocele and osculum all together, we are calling it as this water transport system. And next, insulin traits, what are the specific features means? We'll find nidoblast. Nidoblast, okay, that's why the name given as an area. And next, in ctenophores, we'll find comb plates for locomotion. And next, the platyhelminths, their body is flat and they possess suckers because most of them are parasites. Very few are free living and most of them are parasites. So for their parasitic mode, they usually possess suckers, which helps in holding with the host organism. And next, ask helminths. Okay, they are commonly called as roundworms because they are long, cylindrical, and round in shape. And next, Anilia. Okay, here the body okay, that okay, we can observe for the first time the true segmentation. Okay, first time the true segmentation. Okay, so body segmentation. Okay, and the segments are present like a ring like structures, and the true metamerism we can observe. And next, arthropoda. Okay, the exoskeleton is called cuticle and it is made up of chitin and they possess jointed appendages. Okay, the appendages that are associated with the arthropoda are jointed in nature. Okay, that means small structures are joined to form a long. And next one, mollusca. Okay, in molluscans, external skeleton of shell usually present. So that okay, mollusca includes organisms in which they are covered by the shell, which acts as an exoskeleton. And next, coming to echinodermata, in echinodermata, we'll find water vascular system, which serves in different functions. It helps in digestion, respiration, transportation, excretion. Reproduction, that is the transport of gametes, all that. Okay, this water vascular system and the symmetry. The adult form shows radial symmetry, whereas the larval forms shows bilateral symmetry. Okay, and the next one is a hemichordata. Okay, hemichordata. Okay, time they are included under a chordata, but now it was changed to okay, another okay separate phylum, or they are separated from the chordata and they are placed under separate phylum, that is hemichordata, because they do not possess notochord. In that place, in a structure which is similar to notochord called stomochord is present. That's why they were not considered as chordates. Okay, and next, when you observe these, okay, their body is divided into proboscis, collar, and a trunk, and they are elongated worm-like structures. And the next one is a chordata. Okay, there are three main characteristic features of the organisms that were included under chordates. That is the presence of a notochord, and next the second one is a hollow dorsal nerve cord. Hollow dorsal nerve cord, and the third one is a presence of paired pharyngeal gill slits. Presence of paired pharyngeal gill slits. Okay, and they possess limbs or fins. Limbs or fins for locomotion. Okay, that is these are the some of the important characteristic features of a different phyla. Okay, you can go through this chart and you can understand easily. That is okay. That is about this animal kingdom. Anybody is having any doubt?
No, sir.